Howdy, everyone. This show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Matt Larosiere, and I'm here with my co-host, Shawn Herrin. Shawn, thanks again for coming on to This Week in Guns.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. It's a little bit cold in the studio, which is why I'm wearing a parka.
Yeah, what is that?
There's snow on the ground. It's freezing outside. It's a whole thing.
What's snow?
You would not be familiar with it. It's what they put on the windows at Disneyland, but it actually falls from the sky.
Oh, the styrofoam pellets?
Yes, it's exactly that, except it comes from the sky.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
It is, and it's cold and awful. You're probably sweating right now, aren't you?
I am actually sweating. Yeah, it's a high of 81 here today in Florida.
I think 2023 is what it is right here in Colorado.
I did live in a cold climate for a couple of years, and it was cool to be able to own and use a coat. But aside from that, I'm pretty happy with only having one season.
Over the weekend, we were filming, and our cameras froze. Not like froze as in became ice, but froze as became non-functional to any kind of input. And we were like, okay, whatever, forget it. And we packed up and headed in and drank whiskey, which was way better, really.
No, that's pretty cool. That's pretty. That's a pretty decent alternative. But no, you were telling me about that, and I had down here, I'm used to my camera saying sensor overheated.
Yes.
I've never even heard of it, a piece of electronic going, nope, it's too cold.
Never happened to me before. But they say it happens to some people sometimes, but it was the first time it ever happened to me. So it was uncomfortable and everyone was embarrassed. But other than that,
I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
Speaking of uncomfortable and embarrassing, what's really awful? Getting raided by the ATF.
I've heard that could be pretty bad.
Yeah. You ever try it yet?
No, thank God.
Well, I don't want to tempt fate too much given what we're into, but so a lot of you guys heard this, but the feds raided Polymer 80. All right. Basically they're in a big stink saying that these ghost gun makers products are linked to quoth hundreds of crimes. I don't know if that's 100 separate instances of mail fraud or or what, right? But so yeah, basically this all centers around Polymer 80's buy, build, shoot kit. And there's nothing particularly distinct about the receiver you get in there, but what it is, it's advertised as complete kit, that what you get, everything you get comes in one package and you slap it together in a short period of time and you got your gun, which I think is awesome. But you'll notice you can't get these BBS kits anywhere, but you can still get just the receivers. So that's why I'm thinking, in my opinion, I think that their focus and obsession on this particular kit probably has more to do with marketing than anything else.
Which is kind of seeming to go along in the face of what we've seen with other things. We saw Q get hit by this. We saw SB Tactical get hit by this in 2018, to be fair. And now if that is the case, clearly they're going after people who may be marketing and I don't know, just pushing in the face a little bit that it might be a workaround or something. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I do think, in these instances, you're kind of spitting in their eye, but you're following the law, right? The thing you got to remember is you're working with an agency that has active contempt for the law and likes to make it up as they go along. So it could also be, from what we've seen before, they tend to hit the big players. This may be just a scare raid because there's been no arrests, right? There's been no charges filed. There's just a lot of noise where they're saying, oh, well, we have a determination that these BBS kits are a firearm that violates the Gun Control Act because it was sold interstate, blah, 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 without a serial number or to a felon or what have you. I don't think that there's a principled way to say that the BBS kit is different from any of the other receivers, aside from the way it was marketed and sold.
Yeah, and that actually makes a lot of sense, because the whole time I've been wondering, I'm just like, okay, wait. So if the receiver is totally fine and they've got an opinion letter, or what is the Firearms Technology Branch issue when something is approved?
Well, they don't anymore, but when they do, they issue a determination letter, which says that it is not something. Basically, the more of the focus is saying this isn't an NFA item, but it'll say, oh, this is a Title I, regular handgun, or this is nothing within our jurisdiction at all, right? It's not a firearm.
Yeah. So if the receivers basically have that designation, why would this be any different? It doesn't make sense to me at all. Like it wouldn't be any different, right? Like if I order half the parts from Brownells and half the parts from Polymer 80, and I legally and lawfully put together and build a firearm in my garage, like that's totally fine. Like who cares where I get the parts? And that was the distinction that I couldn't wrap my head around, is how it was any different.
Well, that's what they seem to be obsessing over. They're talking about, there's an article on CNN, which, I'm sorry for linking to them, but whatever. It was my sin for the day. They said that they've recovered 10,000 of these ghost guns, right? And they're not very clear in crimes. And again, we don't know what those crimes are. The crimes could have been, dumping of ghost guns, right? Who knows? But I do think that this is a fixation and a messaging thing, unless it's my worst fear. And my worst fear with this stuff is a change in the administrative definition of firearm to go more towards the European model, which, focuses on the breech face, right? Focuses on the bolt and the barrel and the pressure bearing components. That would be bad, right? If we're moving towards that direction where it's saying, oh, well, but it has a complete slide and barrel, and the two of those together in a little hammer, could set off a round. I think that's the only rational way I could explain this. But in that case, there's still no reason to go after the BBS kit specifically, aside from the fact that it was the most aggressively marketed, one of their products.
Yeah. And me personally have been very aggressive in the marketing of that product. Full disclosure, Polymer 80 is an advertiser on We Like Shooting, and we've talked about those thousands of times probably. And it's an awesome kit. It's
they're good, and they're good people, and they're giving the market what it wants. And with this, and people may be saying, oh, but they can't be putting guns in the hands of felons. Well, they're not. If I hand a felon a shovel, and I'm like, hey, follow the law, not my problem, and then he bends it into an AK receiver, right? That's not my problem. Why should it be?
Well, it's not. That's why we have the PLCA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce Act. I mean, that exists to protect companies from people misusing their things.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing, is that they're trying to get around PLCAA in the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act in these situations by basically making the argument that since these aren't firearms, right, they're not arms, they're something different, right? So they should be able to get around it. They're having mixed success in that. And so it's funny you mentioned that, but that is something to be watching very closely. They are trying, the anti-gunners, Giffords put out a bunch of money to bring a lawsuit against Polymer 80, those cool guys, specifically trying to get around the PLCAA, right? And alleging basically that these people are knowingly providing firearms to people who shouldn't have them. Whereas we all know most of the people who do this, in fact, virtually all of the people who do this, are weird bearded hobbyists like ourselves that like to play with our tools. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So uncorroborated, but I did hear on the internet, or I read on the internet somewhere, that there was a guy who ATF already went to his house and took his BBS. What are your thoughts here? Totally uncorroborated. I haven't been able to confirm or deny.
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy it. I mean, unless they'll do something, in my experience, they'll do something like that if they knew you were a felon, right? But right, if it was some kind of situation like that where this dude is I'm a convicted domestic abuser, and look, this is my BBS kit, right? Then I could see them doing that. Even though, again, the legal grounds are shaky, but with all of the thousands of these that have gone out and all of the people who've been very open about having them, and the fact that, again, no charges have been filed and nothing like that has happened, I just don't. I'm not going to call anyone a liar, but I'll just say I just don't. Yeah, I'll just stick with that. I don't buy it. What do you think?
I think that the wheels of the bureaucracy don't run that fast, and that if in fact this is a true thing that happened, it was because he had done some other egregious act that would put him in their target, and they were using this as a reason to remove that from his person.
Or he or she snitched on themselves.
Oh man, like that is so. You know what? I shouldn't even be surprised by anything anymore. We see people cutting the barrels off of AR-15s, and just to virtue signal that they're good people, and they don't want those air quote weapons of war on the streets.
Right.
And in the meantime, creating an SBR, but that's neither here nor there. But so I guess it wouldn't surprise me at all that somebody would be like, "Oh man, I've got one of these. Come get it."
Yeah, or just, I don't want to be messing with that. Nope, don't want to be held liable. Like, yeah, what is liability? But anyway, I can see that kind of stuff happening. I can also see, let's be real, gun owners and gun Twitter are a very, a very excitable community. Mm-hmm. And I could totally see an internet troll walking up to his local field office and just handing in his Polymer 80 just to get that slip to light a fire. Not saying that's what happened, right? But I'm saying that all of the theories are probably equally plausible right now.
Mm-hmm. And if they did one, if in fact it was the worst case scenario, and they did that one, there would probably be hundreds of stories just like that, not just one, right?
Yeah, but and it also depends on who your local field office is, and how it could be real. Mm-hmm. It could be, and it could be that just this one field office person knew this person, whoever he or she, and was like, "Here's my chance to mess with them," right? Could have been that they went in to be like, I bet this, I know this person's a felon. I bet they assembled it and went into like just, hey, we have reason to believe blah blah, and came in for the the Polymer 80 kit.
Yeah, although I would say if that was the case, it would probably not just be like a property slip like they gave him. It would be an arrest. And
yeah, if he had built it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Because otherwise, it's not a firearm. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, except according to ATF, who says it is.
Right.
I mean, our brains are simultaneously in the real world and bizarro ATF world right now. So it's like it's a firearm, but it's not a firearm. Well, yes, but actually, no.
we need to market just like a little box full of supplies from Lowe's that is also a buy, build, shoot kit.
Yeah. Oh yes, the holy pipe shot gat.
Yep, exactly. Completely legal, or not even legal, just lawful.
Yeah, I don't even know enough in some jurisdictions.
Yeah,
I don't care what you do with. Oh man, that's funny. That's something to think about. But anyway, hey, I mean, you have anything else to say on that?
No. I mean, no one was arrested. They took records and presumably the kits from Polymer 80. I have no inside information there as to what they actually took, or if it was just a bunch of black SUVs with a SWAT team dropping out the back. My guess is it was a dude wearing a tracksuit walked in and he was like, "Hey, ATF, here's a warrant signed by a Nevada judge.
Right.
And we're going to collect things."
Yeah, we found a judge who's going to let us hurt you.
Yes.
So let me in.
Yes.
Let me in or I'll. Yeah. Anyway, no dog jokes. Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, guys, I think it's a little early to be. I'm seeing a lot of you guys like saying this is it. They're coming after 80%. I think it's a little early to say that. I think we should definitely. We're not surprised, right? We knew that they were going to do something. That they're going to start at least getting more active in this field, and it may just be that they're getting more active, right, to discourage new entrants into the community. So anyway, but I what I'm saying is I don't think it's time for full-on panic mode just yet. I think we just gotta. I mean, obviously something should be done to stop them, but I think I don't think it's panic time.
Yeah. So unsaddle your horse, Paul Revere. 2 if by 1, or what is it? 1 if by sea, 2 if by land. I don't remember.
Right. Yeah. What's the history? But anyway, so Texas, we're still over in the other hot part of the country.
Oh yeah.
So we talked last week about that bill to kill Texas's castle doctrine, right?
Yeah.
So in response to this, Governor Abbott came out on Twitter and he just straight up said, "Let me be clear. The castle doctrine will not be reduced. We won't force Texas homeowners to retreat, especially when the crazy defund the police ideas Okay, that's kind of a non sequitur. Homeowners need to protect themselves now more than ever. We will protect Second Amendment rights.
That's fantastic. Like good on you, Governor Abbott. And I mean, this whole bill was just, I think that sometimes they just throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. And it was never really a danger, as it were, but at some point, like, they become a danger. But at least that Texas has a governor that's not afraid to stand up and say, this is not right. This will not happen.
Well, and here's the other thing. They knew, like, I don't want to say their name because of what I'm about to say, but this legislator person knew that if they brought this up, they didn't think it was going to pass, but they knew they'd get their name in the news, right? And what's that good for? A congressional bid, maybe, in a pretty progressive part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
But so this was in response to that politician's tweet of basically in response to all of the hellstorm that I hope we helped bring down on it. Was it basically said, no, it wouldn't repeal the Castle Doctrine. What my bill would do if passed is it would just require a homeowner to exhaust the potential of safely retreating into their habitation before using deadly force. Which, eliminating the Castle Doctrine.
Right, exactly. Like, duty to retreat, not a thing. I mean, if someone is threatening your life, I don't really think you go through a mental checklist of all the different things that you could possibly do, like call a counselor, clearly this person says, well, theft is obviously wrong. We have laws to address that. I'm like, cool, that law-abiding citizens follow, not criminals, you moron.
Yeah, I love this part, this quote. I filed this bill because the Castle Doctrine as it currently exists emboldens people to take justice into their own hands. Wow. That's clearly somebody who's never been in danger in their entire life. Right. Exactly.
Like, just hypothetically, what about tar and feathering? Is that a thing that might be punishable by death? I don't know.
It's ridiculous. I think it's a publicity stunt, but I think it also shows that this politician, this hack, is just a. Sorry, but if you're a working class person, how do you have anything in common with that?
That's the thing. I really just don't believe that they do. Like, I know that social media is so incredibly censored in one direction of political debate that they might feel like this is kind of the popular thing to do and the popular thing to believe. But let's not forget, like, half the country voted the other way. Half the country, half of the people who voted the other way. So even if it is popular, it's only popular with one half. And I highly doubt that a lot of those people even feel this way or think that that's something reasonable, because they're people who have jobs, who have families, who have things that they work really hard for. And it's just more of this tone deafness from that side of the political landscape.
Well, and then also think about it this way. So even if you have the side that voted the other way, for sure, how many of those people have been robbed at gunpoint or had their house burglarized or something like that? Yeah. How many of those people are going to jive with you saying, oh, when you get your house broken in because of this law, you're going to feel emboldened to take it into your own hand? No, you're going to be sweating and possibly pee a little bit and just think about keeping your family alive. That's all you're thinking about.
There's people who I've seen in the news, women who had to endure just the most awful things that one could ever imagine, and to hear them tell their stories, like how they realized that no one was there and no one was going to help them, and this was happening, and it, just not a thing, to take away the power of those women, of anyone who's marginalized, of anyone who's victimized, to take away the power to defend themselves, to tell them that their life is no more important than someone who should wish to take it from them.
Right.
I don't know how you do that with a straight face and actually think that you're doing any good, or think that you're even, anything less than just a piece of scum that lives on this earth.
Well, and on top of that, the people that this party claims to represent are the impoverished, minorities, right? Other, like you said, marginalized and disenfranchised people who are statistically the most likely people to be violently victimized.
Mhm.
Like the vast majority of violent victims of violent crime are marginalized people. So it's just so weird and double speaky, and it actually makes me sick. There is a large degree of cognitive dissonance that they've sown into this base, right? To believing crap like, all you need is like a Ring doorbell or whatever, and then that's you know
We talked about this last week. I'm like, okay, that's so that someday they can maybe find your murderer.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot we talked about it last week because
Well, no, and it's so true though. Like, how does that deter crime? It doesn't.
you need a heater, man.
Yeah.
Like the thing you need to have the thing that is the most credible threat to you. You're gonna have that.
Yeah,
But
it's a force multiplier, and I want to multiply it as far as I can. I want a tank sitting directly inside the front door for anyone who should break it down.
A Renault APX 13, baby. Hand it over. But until then, I'll settle with 545.
Bada bing, bada boom. Anyway, good job, Governor Abbott, for sure.
Yeah, good enough job. How about you repeal some of the stupid laws? Work on getting that. Getting your party to do that.
And honestly, like, how much longer does a Republican governor have a chance in that state with people like Joe Rogan, with people like Elon Musk moving there? They're going to Californify it just like they have in Colorado. And how much longer do you have that kind of person in power in Texas?
Yep. So get some stuff done. But so anyway, speaking of blasters, what do you think of Teddy Roosevelt?
I mean, yeah, like I've read good things, I've read bad things, but as a historical figure, pretty awesome.
I don't like him, but anyway, some people he walked around saying "damn the Constitution." Not a big fan, but he was pretty cool. He did have like a bear and some tigers and stuff. I think that's pretty dope. Some other people thought that he was pretty dope because his single action army sold at Rock Island the other day for $1.4 million.
Holy moly. Yep. That is insane. I'm looking at pictures of it right now. It's
not even that cool.
No, it's like not the coolest gun I've ever seen. I mean, it's pretty cool, like filigree all over the metal, a bull inlaid in what I only can assume is ivory handles, ivory grips.
Knowing what I know about him, probably either ivory or like the bones of a colonized person.
That is actually probably pretty fair. You know what's interesting is like how history differs from reality. Like I try to watch any documentary that I can that talks about like real history, not just what is perpetuated to the masses. And it is funny because like when I think of Teddy Roosevelt, I think of like this butt kicker, and you think of this guy who just threw the Constitution in the trash and did what he wanted, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't the worst, right? That was FDR. FDR was the worst creature in the one of the worst creatures in our political history. But I do think we need to remember when we think about political figures, and also I think Roosevelt was cool as heck, right? I think the 1895 Nagant was really awesome, or the 1895 Winchester that they used up there, the Rough Riders, that was all dope. But I'm not gonna have a shrine to somebody who said damn the Constitution when they were holding the most powerful office in our country.
Absolutely true. Well, it totally unrelated to this, but since I go off on tangents often, thinking about Marvin Heemeyer, the Killdozer, actually, he's this cult hero, this person who stood up to the people who were doing him wrong. But then the more you read about it, the more you learn about it, he's kind of a jerk, kind of
just a weirdo.
Yeah, like not a guy that I want anything to do with.
Yeah.
Anyway,
at the same time, we do have to have folk heroes, right? Because everybody is imperfect. No one's going to be exactly right. But that's why I think Roosevelt is something that we should appreciate as a folk hero, but not pretend that he was like, a perfect great. But, I don't want to get into all that stuff. But either way you slice it, you're not going to catch me spending $1.4 million on a single action army.
Good Lord, no. Especially not this one. If I did get one, I don't know. It'd have to be one that I'd rather pay that kind of money. Not that I have that kind of money, but I'd rather pay that kind of money for like a gun that killed a despot or something like that. Yeah.
You know what I want? I want the Moss 38 that was used to kill Mussolini.
It's like that gun.
Yeah. That's on display in Italy. And it's like, come on. So like, I have the ammo for it. Let me shoot it. That's what I want. Yeah, no, stuff like that is cool. And historical firearms are just fascinating.
They are.
Having the piece of history that, we get, and I mean, look at my wall here. I've got all these wartime guns, and, we like to hold them and say, oh, well, who knows what this saw? But in reality, like this Luger, it probably sat, on like an accountant's desk, right?
Right.
It probably didn't do anything. But with like you're saying, like the gun that was recovered from, the shooting of this despot, that's like a real, there's no maybes in that conversation. Where that thing was.
Yes.
Really super dope.
It's one of the reasons that I love trench art, trench art. Like that to me is the most fascinating thing. Like just thinking and just imagining the guy in a trench, the guy in a field,
right,
laying amongst the blood of his brothers, or maybe just sitting there bored while he waits for the next attack. Like to me, that is the history that I find absolutely just captivating.
Yeah. I've got a lot of World War I trench art.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. Although if I was gonna say, if there's one gun on this wall that probably has bodies on it, like statistically, it's probably this one, the Shosha.
Very well, man. Yeah.
Well, because the French were like, every single one of these needs to be at the front now. So people always think, oh, it's a piece of crap, and and they didn't make that many. Well, yeah, but it was the only machine gun, right? And if it's the only machine gun and it's at the front, it probably, like most of the majority of people who won like the top honors in the French service and in U.S. service in World War I were Shosha gunners.
Wow.
Because they just had this ridiculous mobile firepower advantage. It's like, yeah, it's like a junky gun that doesn't work exactly right, but you've got a 20-round mag when everyone else is like sticking on a bolt.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so that's our double triple aside. But I mean, other cool stuff from that auction though. I mean, they had guns from Elvis, Annie Oakley, a bunch of cool stuff. And if it was me, if I was to pick any of these celebrities, I'd want Elvis's gun.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Let's see. They had Blackjack Pershing's gun.
Yeah,
a gun from Tom Selleck, which
fascinating.
That's pretty cool, I guess. Yeah. He just like
maybe one day we'll have the Shawn Herrin gun up for auction. Somebody will pay $1.5 million for your
high point. It's got to be a high point.
Yeah, your diamond studded high point.
Absolutely, without question. The whole auction brought in over 22 million, which is the largest firearms auction ever held.
Yep, that tells you. I mean, I guess maybe the COVID panic is hitting the collector's market too.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Well, I guess at the end of all that, I can just say, down with Teddy Roosevelt, long live Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of bad government decisions.
Oh boy, yeah, I saw this.
The Air Force, the United States Chair Force, just bought a bunch of B&T APC 9K Pros. 9mm. So the Air Force is actually the second branch after the Army to buy this subgun after the military suddenly decided they needed a highly concealable, SMG package.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. What do you think?
They're ridiculously expensive. There may be better options. Like I understand a lot of the personal protection.
Right.
We have a family member that does this stuff specifically, but it's really a lot like Secret Service style stuff. And those guys, what do they carry? Like Uzis or something? Well, not anymore, but in the past, they like some of those guys that guard the president. They
have MP7s and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that under there. These are so ridiculously expensive. And I know that the Air Force is getting a way better deal than anyone else, but I don't know.
Are they?
Well, maybe not.
You know what they pay for toilet paper?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. For hammers.
Yeah, all of it.
I have shot B&Ts. I have shot select fire B&Ts. They're fun, but I don't see what they have over everything else. Well, what are your thoughts here?
I'm going to agree but I've got mixed feelings. I'm going to agree with pretty much on everything you said. I like B&Ts because I'm a gun nerd and I'm into fascinating like Euro little techie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like the shape of this thing is kind of stupid. It's not really that concealable. It's really tall. It's got a really high bore axis. I don't see much of an advantage here, really, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just short. It's really short and long. Like that's definitely going to print. They're going to have to carry like 5-round magazines.
Yeah. And it would have been better to go with the Glock mag one, because then you have less of a outer footprint when you're using, a semi-long magazine.
That's true. Which I missed it. Which mag did they go with?
You know what?
Is it just the B&T mag?
Did they?
I'm curious.
Did they say?
Let's.
Do they have a Glock mag one? Oh,
SIG P320 mags or proprietary B&T mags. Yeah.
Oh yeah, by switching out the lower group.
Okay, yeah. So it's interesting which one.
So we don't know what they took.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It does use some AR parts, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The grip especially. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been as crazy about the B&T stuff as it seems like the rest of the population in the gun world is.
Yeah, especially when I like their MP9.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled the trigger on that thing. Oh my god, it was awful.
Yeah,
it was a war crime.
Not even surprised a little bit.
I know that the select fire one is way better because on the semi-auto one, you actually go through the initial step and then you have to keep pulling to have it fire one shot because it's a progressive trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just so bad. And I mean, I'm sure this one's got a great trigger. It's because it's got a normal fire control group. But so here's why I'm conflicted. I know I just completely crapped all over the gun for a few minutes. I'm conflicted because we thought we saw the death of the submachine gun in the 1980s, right? Yeah. With the SBR. We thought that it was gone, and I was really sad about that because I'm going to tell you something. I love subguns. I love 9mm spaghetti slingers. There's a very specific use case for them, and it's this. That degree of controllability, that degree of, small package, repeatable firepower in like a 50-yard and closer engagement. I think you don't have as much controllability with like, a Mark 18. It's also way bigger. So I'm really happy to see the military going back to subguns.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they would have done it in a less like Instagram thirsty way.
That's exactly it. I'm like, are the guys doing purchasing for the Air Force? Or are they just like on IG all day, every day, seeing what's hot, what's hip?
Yeah. They're subbing to Pace.
I don't even know, but I do agree. Like I will say that Select Fire 9mm is probably my favorite gun that I have, without question. And it's just like a little shorty. It's the CMMG Banshee upper. So it's delayed blowback style. It's just awesome. Like it's controllable, fun. It's super easy to shoot, and it's just a blast.
I've got a Sterling. I love it. And it suppresses so well. And I mean, like when I used to put a suppressor on my Sten and we'd shoot 147 grains in it, and it would go tick, 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 tick. Like it was, you can't get that any other way. And I mean, and you just pull it right up and you squeeze. You don't even have to be like on the gun. It'll like, it'll only roll you a little bit. It's just 9mm and you just get right back into the groove. It's they're just an absolute pleasure to run. I've shot MP5s and all that, and there's just something. What the only 9mm subgun I've shot that I did not enjoy?
What's that?
Full size Uzi.
Yeah, I've actually shot those before too. They're clunky. They're sharp. Why is everything on Uzi so dang sharp? Yeah,
it wandered on me. It had the folding stock, and it wandered on me because the bore was just so high. It was doing the Thompson thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I shot those. What would you pick if you were the Air Force purchasing guy? That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Jeez.
I mean,
Sterling, whatever, it folds up. Sterling, it works. No, I'm kidding.
Bring him back.
Yeah. You know what? There's not, but that's the thing is the market has been so down with these. There's just not much there. I think that if we're going for super small size like this, I'd want it to be locked breech, just for the the lesser recoil impulse.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only really option is something like what you've got.
Yeah, I mean, mine's not as tiny as they would probably need, but
it's about the same size as this once you cut everything off of it, right?
That's true, and I guess I am thinking about mine suppressed, and
yeah,
I've got an SBA3 on the machine gun just because it's funny. It's ironic. Maybe some of the SIGs, like the tiny little SIG.
Yeah, those. Yeah, I would like those. I like the theory of them, but I had reliability with issues with one.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, so I want it to just be open bolt. I want it to just be an open bolt, simple little foldy boy, like this, like the Hotchkiss Universal. You ever see these?
I don't think so.
Oh my god, I got a treat for you. I haven't built it yet. This is going to be one of my SOT builds.
That's exciting.
But this thing is like way too fancy for a subgun. It's French.
Oh man.
Yeah, see, there's no receiver tube here, but it folds up completely.
Yeah. That wins.
And you deploy it like that. You lock this in place, and then you pull down your magazine. And then actually, this has a long barrel. You press this button when the spring is it. The barrel comes out the front.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and then this goes in there.
Okay, that is pretty amazing, actually.
And you saw what that folded into, a tiny little package.
Okay,
so I think we could easily do something like that. Maybe not as ridiculous unfolded, but
it wins.
That's a 32 round, full size foldy boy right there.
That is amazing. That wins for sure. Because I was like SIG MCX Rattler, no, but I go. You said that was the
Hotchkiss Universal.
Oh man, I want one.
It was when the private French arms manufacturers were still allowed to exist, and were I guess they might have got a hold of some of the the Kellgren meeting dust.
Exactly. That thing actually, it did remind me a little bit of a Sub 2K. A couple different views of it for sure.
If we ask Othias what they should go with, he'd probably say to go with the Sub 2K. Just get the Sub 2K.
Well, they do have this integrated suppressed barrel, and
I shot that.
Yeah, I have too. It
was a treat.
It really is. I'm not a huge fan of the Sub 2K, but that specific version of it, I kind of dug.
I love the Sub 2K not because it's a good gun, but because it was made in Florida and it's funny.
Exactly, love it.
All right. So enough about that. God, I made a mess over here.
Right.
I have not taken that thing off the wall because it makes me sad that I haven't built it yet. So, yeah, it took me. Well, maybe now that it's on the floor, I'll build it.
Exactly. You get stepping over it. So.
Yeah. I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to take that to the shop.
It's happening.
All right. But so yeah, we got Salon. Don't you just love them?
Yeah, so much in fact that I don't even think I've read a Salon article in the last decade.
You have to do it to yourself once in a while. You have to sharpen your claws by eating the poison.
It's also, well, it even says there, I was going to say so arrogant, but it says what you wrote was self-congratulating.
Yeah. No, I do like my little, you can tell how I was feeling when I wrote the summary.
Yes.
But so yeah, this is actually what we were talking about earlier about the PLCAA stuff when it comes to ghost guns.
Uh-huh.
And so there's this loser that wrote this article where he's lauding lawsuits against non-firearm companies as a check against companies arming the bad guy with a gun with such, such dangerous and problematic weapons as black powder cap and ball revolvers.
Oh boy. And
80%. And he puts those in the same category, which I think is fascinating, right? Do you think of those in the same way?
No, because I actually have 1/4 of a brain.
Oh, wow. I mean, me with only a half dozen brain cells to rub together, I was just barely able to get that thought out. But anyway, so this, of course, despite the fact that both 80% and, this might surprise you, cap and ball revolvers are scarcely, if ever, used in crime.
Yeah.
but the authors of the opinion that Biden, he may be able to fix this loophole, and that the time is right for a historic, responsibility-focused shift in gun policy, and the fact that Congress is still paralyzed no longer matters all that much. Change is coming anyway. Perhaps it already has.
Wow, that is pretty self-congratulating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I hate when they use the term loophole because they're never used appropriately.
It's called the law.
Yeah, right. It's not a loophole. That's just the way things are. Sorry, you don't like it.
Yep. That's the part of the law you don't like.
Yeah, don't care at all. God, there's so many different places to go with this. But isn't it like illegal to use like lawsuits, or is there to bully, or what's the word I'm looking for? Lawsuits with no merit? Isn't it like that a bad thing?
Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, in state courts where they're bringing most of this stuff, it's really the Wild West.
Okay.
And like that's me being somewhat me being jaded as somebody who's litigated in state court, and also worked in federal courts. In federal courts, they're like, hey, you can't just say they committed fraud. You have to plead the specific facts of what constituted fraud.
Right.
I was working on a case in state court, and we were literally like, hey, they literally just said the other side committed fraud without any other facts, and the law says they have to give the specific facts and circumstances that constitute fraud. Can you like force them to say what those are? And the court's like, nah.
Wow.
Figured out in discovery. So, they can bring these types of, and that's it. Some of these lawsuits are being brought in friendly federal districts, right? And that's how it all is. It's a game. You're supposed to have, you're supposed to have a reasonable basis for your lawsuit. Yeah. But what that's become over the years is like an articulatable basis, right? Where you're arguing for a change in the law. So you're not actually arguing that the current law supports your position so much that your interpretation of the law supports your position and supports liability. And as far as the defendant's concerned, tough luck, buddy.
Wow. So they're looking to change the law by having the judge rule and creating a precedent.
Yes, which is legitimate.
Okay.
I mean, that is a legitimate age-old source of change in the law. I'm not arguing against that here. What I'm saying is you're supposed to do that in a situation where it's like, no, the last case was wrong because obviously that's not what this means, but instead they're doing it. The law is clear, but we really, really want this really bad.
Wow.
That's basically their argument.
And when a lot of these get dismissed, like some states have laws in which if it gets dismissed in a certain way by a judge, or that they're liable for
attorney's fees.
Yes.
Almost never happens. And when it does happen, they'll often award a nominal attorney's fee, like $5. So it's like, yeah, you won your attorney's fees, but like given this, that, and the other thing, the calculated amount is $5.
Man, reality sucks.
Yeah.
I have all these pie in the sky ideas of like jurisprudence and how the legal system works. And it turns out
it works. Like if you're really bonkers, and like the lawsuit goes on for a long time, like you'll get smacked. If you have a reasonable judge, they'll smack you. But a lot of these things get brought out on summary judgment, before you have a trial, and none of this crap goes to trial, right? Sometimes, but very rarely. And so they'll be like, okay, don't do that again. And to show you not to do that again, on the record, you're going to be paying them damages, $5.
That's crazy. I'm like, if I can afford it, it's not something that it's not a bad thing for them. Yeah.
And on the other hand, though, we do want to keep it. We don't want to change this type of stuff too much because we want to be able to it cuts both ways. We want to be able to bring creative and interesting lawsuits against state governments and stuff like that. And the only way to break new ground is to break new ground and say something that no one else has ever said before.
All right, that's fair. You convinced me.
I wasn't trying, but you did. I didn't have to because that's the legal system we've been stuck with for hundreds of years. Well, despite my trying, I haven't gotten to change it.
It's so interesting because like you'll feel away and then someone like enlightens you with a little bit with that exact roundabout where, well, yeah, it would be great if it happened to them, but then it would also happen to us. And then I'm like, oh, never mind, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we don't support gun control, because we understand that it's today thee, tomorrow me.
Yeah.
You know, like I would take tremendous cathartic satisfaction if in like a band that like took, you know, all the milsurps and like nagants and Mausers away from everybody who put them in like a plastic stock or like screwed a scope to them.
Right.
Like that would make me giggle and feel a little good. But then when it's like, also you can't own French guns, I'd be like, oh no, why did I? And no one cried for me.
Do you think, I mean, the Salon article does bring up a good point, and I think it's kind of what we're expecting to actually happen. Like clearly Congress is gridlocked and has been for a lot of years now. And it's a thing that is now just business as usual, right? When it first started to happen, it was like the craziest thing that ever happened. Now it's business as usual. Now presidents are often required to govern for better or for worse by executive fiat. Like, do you think that that's probably the way this is all going to go?
Maybe for the short term. I think something has to give though.
Yeah.
Because it's so incompatible with our constitutional system. And it's like the judiciary has made it so clear that it can't be tolerated anymore. So I think something will have to change, and whether that's for the good or the bad, I don't know. There could be a constitutional amendment that messes stuff up, or the judiciary could step up and like say, okay, no, you don't have lawmaking power. Sorry.
Yeah.
But so, like until then though, is the administrative agencies going to keep pushing it? Oh yeah. I don't think we've seen half of what they're going to try to do.
Yeah. I mean, bump stocks, like anyone who doesn't believe it could happen, like bump stocks, it has happened.
Right. Yep. But, and even that was something that there was like at least, and I don't agree that it was right even remotely at all, but there was at least an articulable argument that they were making, and it was a bad argument, and it still won, right? Which is a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It shows how political our judiciary is, because the fact that they let them get away with the bump stock thing showed that it was like, no, I'm scared of things that go rat-a-tat-a. You know, it had nothing to do with the law. So now, like, if something goes forward with the incomplete firearms, you know, and the 80% stuff, and the pistol braces, that would be a whole level above the, you know, unaccountability and unhingedness that bump stocks were. Like, it's, people say it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. This is way more extreme, because there's no, like, with bump stocks, they shoved the camel through the eye of the needle. With this, it's they're driving a semi truck through, like, you know, a single atom.
Jeez.
No,
That's very, very well put. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I want Salon to always be wrong in everything they say for the rest of history. So I hope that they are.
no, I mean, they've done a good job.
Yeah, I mean, why break a streak?
Speaking of wrong and dumb and bad, how often do you hear, you know, being in the gun sphere yourself, how often do you hear the words public health crisis?
Pretty often, whenever I look at media that I know I shouldn't, because it's just going to make me mad.
Well, how does it make you feel in your stomach when you hear the word public health crisis?
Nauseous.
Okay.
It really does.
That sounds like a public health concern.
It does. Yeah. So it's making me sick, and therefore is a public health crisis.
Really noxious fume. So at Jamaica Hospital in New York, Dr. Catherine McKenzie oversees the treatment of people who are seriously injured, all right, often as a result of car crashes or gun violence. And I'm sure you can imagine, as a doctor, she's obviously an expert on gun policy.
Clearly, all doctors and lawyers, by that matter, anyone who's gone to college for more than 4 years isn't immediately a gun expert.
Yeah, you literally purchase gun expertise. It is like the longer you spend in school, the more money you spend, the more credible you are when it comes to just saying guns are bad. But
100%.
anyway, Doc McKenzie says with COVID-19 cases rising and gun violence remaining a problem in the city, she's concerned that the hospital will be caught in the intersection of two public health crises.
Very interesting.
And I don't know if how often I go off on the public health thing, but this is a like mega trigger for me.
Yeah.
Because public health, the study of public health started with things, diseases. It started in I think like the first instance of a public health study was when they isolated the cause, like the source of a respiratory disease to a single well and then told people not to go to that well, right?
Right.
Like that's a public health problem and solution.
Certainly.
Public health studies things that are noxious and problematic and that have no positives, right? They're things you just need to get rid of. Cholera, right?
Flint, Michigan's water.
Yes. But when people talk about guns as a public health concern, they're literally saying that guns are equivalent to a noxious emission that do not have a positive, like there's nothing redeeming about them. And it's a very underhanded and I think a really gross, way of double speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It annoys me to no end because I've met plenty of people that have said they don't want to give up their guns, right? My grandfather had guns and he raised us with guns and everything, but I've never heard somebody say that my grandfather gave me cholera and I'm going to make sure my kids have cholera too, right?
Yeah. I'm 100% with you. It drives me crazy. Like, I think that many doctors are to be respected, but when doctors they don't go through the calibers of modern firearms directly after basic anatomy,
right?
Like this is not a thing that they're educated in. They have opinions, and just like a lot of other people, they see society at its worst very, very, very often.
Yeah.
The thing she mentions, this Dr. Catherine, COVID-19 cases rising again and gun violence remaining a problem in the city. Well, first of all, yes, like it is a problem in your city. I would be willing to bet money that a lot of it is gang related. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that a lot of it was police related, and not that the police are doing it, but that people are rebelling against the police and that there's less police because of the whole defund the police movement. People are frustrated. They're locked in their places. They're losing their jobs. They're running out of money. Crime is rising. Like, yeah, they're gonna lash out when they are pushed too far. And COVID being the thing pushing them, COVID and the lockdowns, I would say, might intersect a little bit better than what she's trying to point out to us.
Yeah, it seems like just a way of taking advantage of a tragedy to point the finger at firearms. It wasn't like necessarily explicitly said, but it seems like a very subliminal type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just think it's dumb. I don't know. Let's talk about something else stupid.
Well, there is one doctors group that I actually like, and that's DRGO, Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership.
Oh, okay.
They've got a lot of doctors that disagree with Dr. Kathy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have tremendous respect for doctors for keeping me alive within their field. I have never once thought to ask them what kind of gas I should put in my car or what I should do with my gun.
Right. Or how to change your spark plugs or ridiculous.
Never once have I even considered that. If you haven't had good results, let me know. Maybe I'll switch to your doctor. But
like that would actually be kind of awesome. Like a doctor, but also gives you great life advice from that they're educated in. That would be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I would pay double for that doctor.
I don't know about double.
Well, I mean, it's like my copay, right? So like
I love my doctor and she hates guns. She hates them, but she and I have a great relationship, and she brings it up all the time. So she's like, "You still doing all that gun stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's awesome." And one of these days, I'll get her to actually come out and shoot.
Totally.
We'll
honestly,
see.
I think that's a sign of true intelligence is disliking and despising something, but being able to operate in the confines of the reality where those things exist, and you may not like them, but you also don't criticize and push people away because it's a thing you like. Like, she doesn't like them, but she still gives you great medical care. To me, that's one of the better signs of people that I would like to hang out with.
Oh, she gives me awesome care. She treats me like a human being. And so, like, in return, I talk to her like a human being. And that's why we have a good, relationship. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. What I wish that she didn't think that way, but what am I going to do? I can only do what I can do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't like people with, like, I don't know. There's nothing I can say right now that wouldn't be found offensive by somebody. So I'm just going to end that sentence and let you move on to the next story.
Oh man. But yeah, so I was going to say, speaking of really stupid crap that doesn't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
you remember that mall, Mayfair Mall in Wisconsin, where they had that very unfortunate shooting?
Oh yeah, the one where the guy was like, "Look, there's gun-free signs everywhere."
Yeah, the signs, they didn't work, but but that's neither here nor there, because now they got gun sniffing dogs.
Oh man, that's actually kind of cool.
It is that okay? Before I say it, is that real?
I don't know, but if I had a gun sniffing dog, it would like go sniff people out with guns and then like alert me to their presence, and then I could go up and talk to them about what cool gun they had.
Just be like, "What kind of gun do you carry?" I'm sure people would love that. Yeah. I do that to people when I see them print. I'd be like, "What are you packing?" They like get all nervous, and I lift up my shirt.
Dropping off my vote at the ballot box. Literally 3 people converged at the exact same time, and like a 3-way stop. We all got out of our cars and got there right around the same time. 2 of them were open carrying, and I of course was carrying. And I was like, "Hey, nice M&P. Oh, nice Glock." Yeah. Like, go ahead, guys. Like, I'm carrying a 365. Clearly, I'm like not the guy in charge here.
Right.
But it was just awesome. Like 3 people dropping off votes, all armed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it depending on who you ask, though, that may have been a sign of impropriety.
Your doctor would have hated that.
Yeah. But no, but I mean, like, what? Like, do they smell oil? Steel doesn't have a smell.
And you would think that like Russian steel would have a different smell than like American steel.
Well, if it does, right?
They're both Chinese, probably, so maybe it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all secretly imported. But I just don't know, because like people always say, you can smell metal. You don't actually smell the metal. You smell the reaction your skin has, to it. So at least that's what I think. I'm not a science doctor, but I'm pretty sure steel doesn't smell.
Yeah, it would have to be like either gunpowder or maybe,
or it's like those vans in the UK that go around and can detect when you're watching TV without a license.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I mean, it's fake and it's not real. Like
that could be,
because that's like a load of. I'm sorry, that's a load of garbage. But yeah, so they say. Yeah, officials announced dog cops will be. They always say canine officers. That's so. Oh my god, I want to swear, but they'll be detecting firearms at the mall entrance. If you walk through the mall, a dog team will screen you, and you will never even realize it occurred because the dog won't make physical contact with you, and will basically sniff the air that's coming off your body after you've passed. Maybe you won't notice it because the dogs are imaginary. But so Pierce, who's one of their cops, says, when these dogs approach you, you're not in trouble. They just want to find out if you have a firearm with you, and if you're licensed to carry, that's not an issue, but you're not going to be able to stay in the mall.
Oh my God, what? How is this?
I'm sorry, this has to be the TV van thing. It has to.
What I'm like, is this Babylon B? No,
it's not.
6. It
has to be the TV van thing. This has to be fake. Hold on, I'm going to look this up. Wait, hold on.
This is outrageous.
Are gun sniffing dogs real?
Yeah, we got to know this right now.
Is trained to smell gunpowder and the residue it creates.
Okay,
so that means if your gun's clean, they can't?
Right. And what if I was to fart right when I walk through the door? Like, does that overpower the smell of gunpowder?
Yeah.
Like,
in a situation where there's only one bullet in a firearm and that gun has never been used, the dog is able to identify its scent.
What in the Minority Report is happening right now?
The dogs that have been trained, they're trained to sniff out guns that have not been used or touched for a number of months. Specifically, they're trained to locate firearms such as assault rifle and handgun. I don't believe it. I'm sorry, Wag. I still don't believe it. I don't buy it.
Dogs can like sniff out cancer or something.
Yeah, well, they can also see a bulge. Maybe
that's true. Maybe the dog. Yeah, it's just like their pets, and then if you print, they walk up to you. The dog. I'm sorry, the canine officer identified you, and
well, they're holding a Chihuahua that's just shaking.
Yeah. So this whole thing, like, there's no repercussion as long as
it said if you're not concealed carrying, then they'll probably lock you in a cage.
Yeah. Wow. This feels to me like a place that I would never go.
The mall?
Yeah.
Well, It is the current year. Why would you go to a mall?
That's true.
Stupid.
That's true. I will also say that I don't know about where you're at, but the malls where I'm at have a lot of doors. There's a door at JCPenney's. There's a door at Burlington. There's the mall doors. There's like all kinds. There's doors at Dillard's. Like, this is a lot of dogs. There's probably 20 to 30 different points of ingress into this mall. And you're telling me they're going to have dogs at all of them, or are they just going to close all their doors like Walmart did for COVID? So every single person has to go through the same door instead of spreading it out over a couple different doors.
Dog team.
Wow. That seems very expensive. I hope the tenants of this mall are ready for their rates to go up a lot.
This is just. Why don't they just put a bigger sign?
A bigger sign, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just understand sometimes bad people do bad things. And
also sometimes good people carry guns where they're not supposed to, and it's kind of like a neat thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat thing they do.
Yeah. I love that probably 100,000 or more have walked through the doors of that mall this year, and one guy does one bad thing, and suddenly they've got dogs infringing on your personal liberty.
Yeah, dog team.
Yep.
But it is like, I mean, at least these dogs will be safe from ATF.
That is true. Well, who knows? You never know what's going to happen.
That's true. Well, our last topic relates kind of to the ATF. Americans are searching for 80% like crazy. So this is, it's been reported on Loose Rounds. Basically, he brought up the Google Trends here, and over the past couple months, or even recently, the past couple of weeks, people are going nuts trying to get as many 80s as they can get.
It makes sense to me, right? Like, scarcity drives people to buy things. If they think they're going to be scarce, they're going to want to get as many of those things as possible. Also, there's a subsection of the gun owning population that doesn't trust the government at all. I would say it's probably, I don't know, a minor number, like 95, 96%, something
like that.
And they don't want anything that could ever be tied to their name. I mean, we saw Red Dawn, where the first thing they do is go to the stores and get the 4473 so they can find out who owns the weapons so they can take care of them early. Like, there's definitely something to be said. What are you holding there?
Oh, I was, this is what I was going to segue to after. I was saying, why, saying, guys, don't be so worried about 80% where you can get a spool of 0%.
Exactly.
3D printers, baby.
Exactly. Which is another thing they want to go after.
Yeah. Well, good luck. This is actually a prototype that I'm working on.
It just so drew my attention because I was like, I recognize things about that.
It takes Glock mags.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and an AR-15 fire control group. I'll tell you what it is after the show, but I'm not allowed to tell.
All right.
Else what it is.
So like, of course, people are doing it. They don't trust the government. They don't trust this incoming president. Possibly, maybe. We'll see. I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening anymore.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I won't bite. But yeah, I get it, and especially like there's just so many people that just don't want to. They're thinking now, especially they just like it's none of your business.
I kind of agree. Yeah,
I agree too. You should be anyone who has the skills should be able to just do this without even thinking about it. Because guess what? That's the country that you decided to be born in. And when you made that active choice to be born in the United States, you chose to have freedom, and you have to deal with it when other people do it too.
Yeah. Nothing makes the halls of power quake like freedom, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that sucks. It does suck though, because there's all of the people. I know a lot of the guys that are in the 80 market or that were were doing it because they could save $1.
Mm-hmm.
It'd save on a transfer fee. It would usually be a little cheaper than buying a complete receiver too. And now that is not the case.
No, they've, I mean, just like ammo, supply and demand have conspired to work against us.
We're talking about a multi-$100 premium sometimes.
Yeah. Without question.
So
but
0% spaghetti, people.
Can't stop the signal.
$20 a kilogram.
I love that. I love weighing my stuff to see how much a thing costs me. It is awesome. And don't forget, you can get involved in 3D printing for like cheap, man, like $250.
$250.
Ask for it for Christmas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gets you a decent unit, the Ender Pro.
Yep.
I wish we had an affiliate link because we might have just made someone some money, but
absolutely. Go to Control Pew and give him your affiliate.
Go to the guide.controlpew.com.
There you go.
Click on his links and they're good. And he's going to tell you everything you need to know about how to get into it. He and I work really closely together. He's a wonderful man and he just loves freedom.
100% agree. I've talked to him many times. Good dude. And yes, when you try to take something away, when you try to remove a piece of freedom, people will go out and try to seek that freedom in greater numbers than ever before. So surprising, but it's good.
Look at the Szechuan sauce. It tastes like trash. The McDonald's Szechuan sauce. It tastes like trash, but then when you threaten that it's not going to be there, people go nuts. Look at the McRib is back here. Have you ever eaten one of those?
Okay. This is, first of all, be careful what you say next because I actually love the McRib.
Okay. Hey, well, I'm just saying, people do go. Would people get as wild about it if it was exactly?
No, because they're literal trash. It's literal trash that I eat.
If it was just on the menu, it would be something you probably ate once a year.
Yes.
Right? But now it's forced something that you can eat once a year.
It's so true. I don't know why the McRib tastes decent. It doesn't even taste good. I have no idea why I go eat the McRib.
I ate one yesterday.
I haven't.
The last time I ate one was when I was 12.
Oh, dang.
And so then I was like, oh, no, I don't like that. And I was talking to somebody. They're like, well, I mean, have you tried it? I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, that was like a long time ago. So I went and I got in line, the stupid long line, and everybody was getting the same thing. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't taste bad. It just tastes weird.
Yeah.
It's the same consistency of their hamburger with a pork taste and like raw onions.
So I hate onions, so I get the McRib with no onions.
Okay, the onions threw me off really hard.
Yeah. McDonald's onions are terrible, by the way. I don't know. I don't know if that's common or just me, but yeah, hate them.
I like them on a McDouble, the diced ones. But the raw onions on the McRib. But anyway, yeah, we were talking about the McRib just to explain why people are buying 80% like crazy because they think that McDonald's is going to stop selling them.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Polymer 80 just leaked all this and it never really happened just to drive sales for Christmas. What a conspiracy that is.
Yeah.
They didn't, by the way.
No, yeah, go. No, hit Twitter with that right now. They're nice to us.
They are. Just like the McRib. The McRib is like the Twitter of food. It's just probably cancerous and a terrible, terrible thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that you have to hit me because I like Twitter.
Oh, boy, here we go.
I sit on Twitter. Because I'm also a, very acidic and toxic personality. So I get to just be acid tongued and fit right in.
I mean, yeah, like I get it for that. Every time I get on Twitter, I end up like living on Twitter because everyone on Twitter is so wrong and I need to correct all of their behavior.
I love just calling people out. And like you can do the most simplest thing. Like I'll just retweet somebody and just say, shut up, loser. And then you're in a fight for the rest of the day. It's wonderful.
All right. I can understand the appeal to that because I often do that on Facebook. Yeah. Mostly with people complaining about the price of ammunition. I'm like, okay.
I saw you and I like kind of jumped into something on that where, somebody was this little thing and, some of our audience might hate us for this, but I think we're right. Someone was complaining that the price of ammunition and firearms was too high and basically was saying, if you try to sell generators for this much during a hurricane, you get in trouble. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you can't get a generator during a hurricane.
Right.
Like it's called, like, prices are information. They communicate scarcity. When the price goes up, it's not because the corporation is evil. It's because people are willing to pay that amount. So that's a signal to other firms to come in and produce as many of those things as possible and get the price back to a normal point. If you distort the price, like if we put an ammo price limit,
yeah,
what do you think would happen? Do you think you'd be able to just walk into your gun store and you'd be able to just buy 100 rounds of 9 right now if you needed it?
no, absolutely not, because all the companies that are making the 9 to keep up with the demand would not do it if it was price fixed.
Well, even if they did, say they did, like say they need to act at capacity or whatever, they still made it. You're still not getting any, because our perceived the real value of the 9mm is higher than it was before, and we know that because people are willing to pay more than it was before because the demand is higher.
Yeah.
So when the real value is higher, when you are a consumer and you go in and you perceive a surplus, like you see, you're like, I will spend up to $30 on 9mm, and you go in and it's $15, and you're like, I will take all that you have.
Yep.
That's what you're going to do. That's what people do every year in Florida in hurricane season. Every year, all of these stupid people who don't need a generator go and buy them all. And they'll have like 2 or 3. And then the only thing they do with them is sometimes, because they don't need them, is they kill themselves with them because they plug their fridge into it and let it run inside. Where if you would let the price go, that happens every year.
Oh.
If you let the price go up, the only people that would buy the generator were the people that actually had an acute need for it. You know, they need it more than other people, so they're going to spend more. But instead, you wind up with people who have 3 generators running in their living room, and then they try to return them at the end of the panic. It's the same thing with ammunition and guns. I'm just as mad as you guys because I'm a gun guy, and I want more. You know, I want more. But it's not time with this level of craziness. It's not time for us to be buying more. It's time for us to be letting everyone who doesn't have the stuff get into it. You know, they're paying for it, right? But that's how I view it. I view it as I'm not buying any guns until this chills out. I'm just going to pick up ammo, you know, occasionally when I have to.
Yeah. And like for me, ammo is a commodity of the business that I'm in. So like I have to have ammunition to continue my work and continue what I actually do for a living.
Right.
So now I don't sit around and bitch about the ammo prices. I go out and I pay what the market is charging for the ammo prices because I need this to actually function in my life. Like in order to pay my bills, I have to pay this much higher price of ammunition. And I don't think I've complained about it once. Honestly, I'm just like, yeah, this is the way things go sometimes.
And so what would you rather? A situation where the price of a box of 9mm is fixed at $15 and you can't get it anywhere, or your local store raises it to $40 so that nobody comes in and buys more than a box and you can go and get a box?
Yeah, I have paid $1,200 for 1,000 9mm and 1,000 5.56 or 223 actually. But so yeah, I'm paying $600 for a case, which is even by right now standards, not that awful.
Yeah. Like, you know, we have to, you know, in our business, we have to buy ammunition all the time. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We're not selling as much and we're not gouging it, but it's like, look, the price is the price. It's gone up and it's because of scarcity.
Yeah.
So don't complain that it's high. Complain that not everybody, you know, that everybody should have already been into it, you know?
And that is the thing, like it does sell out fast, but there is ammunition out there. And I 100% agree with you. Like the fact that we can even buy ammunition right now with this unprecedented run on ammunition, like that is a good thing. Like, yes, I am willing to pay more because I need to do it for what I do for a living. So I pay more. And the fact that I can buy it is great.
Also, on top of that, it's a great time to get into a weird caliber.
Yes.
5.7 for the same price that the store was selling 9mm.
Oh man, if you see 5.7, I need some. I've got one on the way.
Oh really?
Yeah.
A Ruger or one of the other ones?
This is the Diamondback.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll look at if I can get some for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, but in 45 is about the same price as 9mm now.
Yes, I am maybe today even. I'm going to machine gun a 45 ACP carbine. It's gonna be awesome.
I need 45 for. Oh yeah, to test the big point. That's what I need 45 for.
Nice.
3D printed 45, 3D printable 45 caliber high point. So I needed to get my hands on some 45.
I have some 45. I will trade you for 5.7.
All right, let's see.
All right. I love it, man. I think that's going to do it for the show. I think we covered everything.
I think that's all we got for y'all today. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate having you here.
It's been a blast. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on your favorite flavor of social media at MattLaw@Law. That's MattLaAtlaw. Also, check out my latest Fudbusters video on YouTube where we covered what is and is not a CNR firearm.
Definitely. And by the way, Fudbusters is amazing. I recommend everyone go check it out. You know, it'd be pretty great as a podcast.
Oh, do you think? There we go.